Grace should be on the line now. Can you hear me, Grace?
Hello, yes, I can.
Thanks very much for coming on, Grace. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
So I suppose just to kind of get the ball rolling, can you just give us kind of an introduction to yourself, your music? I suppose just kind of give us a brief introduction to everything.
For sure, yeah. So my name is Grace Day. Well, that's my artist name. I'm from Donegal and I've been living in Nashville for the past 3 years, almost exactly 3 years. So I decided to move to Nashville at the end of 2019 to kind of properly give music a go. I've been playing music and releasing since I was like 19, 27 now. But since I moved to Nashville, I've been kind of taking it more seriously and really fully pursuing it. Um, and yeah, that's a little bit about me. I went to college in Galway. That's kind of where I got my start
Okay.
in
Um,
the music scene.
okay. Yeah, I suppose, and kind of going a bit more into that, can you kind of tell us your history with music and also kind of how you would describe your music as well?
Yeah. Um, I would describe my music as kind of indie pop singer-songwriter. It's definitely evolved over the years. I think I released my first song in 2016, I believe, and that was a song called Better Guy, which I've since taken down because I decided I didn't like it anymore, but we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, and I I guess going back even before that, I got my start in music by playing the violin when I was like 8, and then I bought a guitar when I was 12, and I really took to the guitar and just as soon as I learned a few chords, I just wanted to start writing because writing is my favorite thing about music. I love songwriting. I love performing and all that, but songwriting is like my first love. Um, so yeah, I would describe my style as singer-songwriter indie pop, but it's evolved, and since I've gotten to Nashville, it's gotten a little bit more country as well because
Okay.
country is big in Nashville. So I think this recent song, the one that you just played, is has a bit more of a country influence to it.
Okay. I suppose with that in mind, are there any artists in particular that you kind of draw inspiration from?
Oh yes. I would say, and anyone who knows me will tell you I'm a massive Taylor Swift fan,
Okay.
have since I was like 12. I think she was the artist who introduced me to the importance of like really good lyrics and
Yeah.
storytelling. Um, and who else do I like? I'm a big fan of Julia Michaels. I
Okay.
think she has really clever lyrics, and recently I've been listening to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. So yeah, a lot of the pop girls, I would say.
Yeah. So in terms of, you mentioned it was around 2019 or no, 2016 that you kind of started taking music a bit more seriously.
Mhm.
When, I suppose, what was kind of the catalyst for that, do you think?
That's a good question. Um, I think I all throughout like secondary school, I loved playing and writing, but I didn't really have the confidence to perform or pursue it or properly go to a studio and record something. I just like was too insecure and didn't know really anything about that world. So when I got to college, I joined the Music Society in Galway, and I met people there who like really encouraged me to go for it. And I think that was the catalyst, was just meeting like-minded people who were like very supportive and encouraging.
Okay. And how do you feel that moving to the US then has kind of impacted you from, I suppose, a career point of view?
Yeah, I would say moving to Nashville has forced me to elevate my game, like when it comes to songwriting and improving like my performance skills and everything, because the standard here is just so high because there's so many people who've moved here to do the same thing. So you're kind of forced to raise the bar a little bit. And I think the most important thing that I've learned here is the importance of collaboration because in Nashville, there's a big co-writing culture,
Okay.
um, more so than any other like music city, I would say, where people just love writing with other songwriters. And before I moved to Nashville, I'd never really written a song with anyone else. I'd only ever written a song like in my room on my own. So it was hard to kind of make that jump and be vulnerable with people I didn't know very well and write songs together. But I think it's improved my craft a lot. And it's like, for example, this new song that you just played, I wrote and produced that with a guy that I met at a music store called Andrew McFarlane. And he just like worked at the store and he sold me a guitar and then we arranged to write. So it's yeah, I think collaboration is the most important thing that I've learned since coming to
Okay.
Nashville.
And I suppose how do you feel because you've collaborated with you've collaborated with a few different artists over the past few years. How do you feel that I suppose kind of collaborating on writing and that kind of stuff? How do you feel? Um, what do you feel is different? I suppose than say let's say if you're writing by yourself.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it's kind of like having a real-time editor in the room with you. Like you if you come up with a line and you might be on your own and you might think, oh, that's a great line, but then the person you're with might kind of pick holes in it and find ways to improve it. Um, and also, I think it makes me more disciplined because sometimes when I'm writing on my own, I'll write like a verse and a chorus, and then I'll be like, well, I think that's all I can do today. But when I'm writing with other people, we usually have a goal. We'll like write for 3, 4 hours and we'll try and finish a song, which I don't think I would have the discipline to do on my own. And it's also just great getting another perspective because something might make a lot of sense to you because you've like lived through the experience. But I think you have to remember to make songs universal and relatable. And the person you're with might say, well, I don't really understand what you're trying to say. How can we make this more um, digestible, I suppose, for an audience? Um, so yeah, I would say that that would be the main difference.
All right. Okay. So in terms of history is your latest release. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's actually coming out on the 3rd of February.
Okay. So, can you give us a bit of an introduction to history, and I suppose can tell us what it's all about?
Yeah. Um, so I got the inspiration to write the song when I was home in Ireland, like about a year and a half ago. And I was going through, I'm a very sentimental person, so I keep a lot of like birthday cards and letters. And I went through these birthday cards and I found one from my ex and I started reading it. And then I came up with the first line, which is there's no point reading your words from three years ago because you don't feel the same anymore. I
Yeah.
know. And I was thinking about the fact that it's like easy to read this and like feel very sentimental and believe that the words are true, but then you have to recognize that it was written so long ago and like things have changed so much. And then I started thinking about how every relationship has its own unique history that's only between two people. And people on the outside can kind of comment on it and they can, you know, they can observe it, but they've not really fully experienced it. So it's like a unique form of history between two people. So then I came up with this concept and I brought it to Andrew and he liked it. And then we just wrote it together and then produced it together at his house in Nashville.
Okay. So, that's very interesting. You mentioned kind of the sentimental thing, kind of basing on, let's say, that kind of personal experience. I guess, for lack of better words. Do you think that all of your songs are like that, kind of rooted in something very sentimental or something that's kind of happened to you or your own kind of experiences? Do you think that's something that you would take a lot of inspiration from?
Yes, I think all of my songs are pretty much autobiographical. I struggle to make things up. I would like to do more of that. But I find that I have to be like brutally honest in my songs.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
find that there's often yeah, I think I always try and put a line in my song. I always say this. I always try and put a line in my song that I would be uncomfortable for people to hear because if I'm not doing that, then I don't think it's like being honest enough.
Okay. So then, in terms of, I suppose, future plans, I suppose, where are you hoping to go from here?
Yeah, so I'm starting off with this release for the year with History, and then from there I have an EP planned, hopefully for the spring, and it'll be like a self-written, self-produced EP. I've released one of the songs that it's going to be on the EP called Haven't Been Great. Um, and yeah, that'll be 4 or 5 songs. That'll be the first EP I've put out. I've only ever put out singles, so I really want to put out like a full body of work. And aside from that, I'm just trying to perform as much as possible in Nashville. That's my main goal is to just get out there and get performing more, and of course to keep writing with other artists in Nashville.
Okay. And have you considered performing, let's say, internationally, or even coming home to Ireland to do some gigs or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I actually was home over Christmas and I did a gig at the Workman's in Dublin.
Okay.
Um, and that was great. I loved it. It was great to have like friends from home come and family and everything. So anytime I'm back in Ireland, I try to do some kind of performance, whether it's like an open mic or a gig. But yeah, I would love to go traveling. And I've been thinking about traveling to other states in the US and doing like a mini US tour of like very small venues. So that's definitely on my mind.
Okay, perfect. We're running a bit low on time. But before we finish up, would you like to kind of share, I suppose, your socials, or where people can find you?
Yeah. So you can find me at Grace Day Music on Instagram and Grace Day Music on TikTok. I'm really trying to do the TikTok thing now. And then you can find me on Spotify, of course, at Grace Day and all the other streaming platforms.
Okay, that's perfect. So, yeah, this has been Grace Day. I want to thank Grace very much again for coming on. It's been a huge pleasure.
Thank you very much, Dylan, for having me.
All right, perfect. Thanks a million. Take care.
Bye now.